name's Marcus. I'm 36. I used to work nights as an orderly at a care home outside Richmond, Virginia. I don't work there anymore. This is why. I took the job in 2019. Graveyard shift, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., mostly quiet work. Checking on residents, handling the occasional emergency call, doing rounds every couple hours. Bellview was an older facility, maybe built in the 70s. Long hallways, fluorescent lights that buzzed a little too loud in the silence. For the first year, nothing out of the ordinary. Just the normal weight of the job. People pass sometimes, working in a place like that. You get used to it, or you learn to carry it quietly. That's the job. It was room 114 that changed things. An elderly man named Walter lived in that room. Late 80s. Dementia, pretty advanced by the time I started. Most nights he slept straight through. Some nights he didn't. There's this thing that happens with dementia patients sometimes. The nurses call it sundowning. Around evening, into the night, some of them get more confused, more agitated. Walter had that. Most nights it meant a little restlessness. Nothing I couldn't handle. But there was one specific thing he'd say, some nights, that stuck with me more than it should have. He'd grab my wrist when I came to check on him. Surprising grip for a man that frail. And he'd say, "Don't let him in." Every time, same exact words. Don't let him in. I'd ask him who. He never answered that part. Just repeated it, sometimes 3-4 times, until he calmed down enough to fall back asleep. I chalked it up to the dementia. That's what everyone told me to do. Confused elderly patients say things. It doesn't mean anything. About 8 months in, I was doing my 2 a.m. round. Walter's door was already cracked open, not unusual. Staff sometimes left doors slightly open for easier checks. I heard him talking before I even reached the doorway. Low voice, not the confused mumbling I was used to. This sounded like a conversation, like he was answering someone. I stopped outside the door, listened for a second longer than I probably should have. I told them not to, I heard him say. Pause. Then, "You know I can't do that." I pushed the door open. Walter was sitting up in bed, facing the empty chair in the corner of the room. The one visitors used, currently empty, had been empty all night as far as I knew. He looked at me like I'd interrupted something important. "He wants you to know he's not angry," Walter said. Calm. Almost gentle the way you deliver news to someone. He says it wasn't your fault. I asked him, as steady as I could manage, what wasn't my fault. Walter just looked at me for a long moment. Then he lay back down, rolled over, and went to sleep like nothing had happened. I didn't sleep right for a few days after that. Told myself it was nothing. Dementia patients say strange things, I reminded myself, same as always. But something about "it wasn't your fault" wouldn't leave me alone. Because at the time, and I hadn't told anyone at work this, I'd been carrying something. A car accident, a few years before I started at Bellview. Not something I talk about. Nobody at that job knew. I never told Walter. Never told anyone there. There was no way he could have known. I started asking around. carefully about Walter's history. Not the medical file, just the informal stuff, the stories staff pick up over time. One of the older nurses, someone who'd worked there almost 15 years, told me Walter used to talk to the chair long before I ever started. Said it happened every so often, always the same pattern. Him having what looked like a full conversation with someone nobody else could see. And always, whatever he heard, he'd pass along to whichever staff member was in the room. She said most of the time it didn't mean anything to the person he told it to. But sometimes, not often, she said, just sometimes, it hit exactly right. I asked her if that scared her. She just shrugged and said, "You work nights long enough. You stop needing everything to make sense." Walter passed about a year after that night. Natural causes, nothing sudden, the kind of ending you brace yourself for in that line of work. I was on shift the night it happened. I was the one who found him actually during my 3 a.m. round. Already gone by the time I got there. Before I called it in, before the whole process that follows a death in a place like that, procedures, paperwork, notifying family, I stood there for a second, alone with him. And I swear, I'm not saying I believe it, I'm just telling you what happened. I heard, very faint, barely audible, coming from somewhere near that same empty chair in the corner. "Don't let him in." Same words Walter used to say to me. Except this time, it wasn't his voice. I put in my notice 2 weeks later. Told my supervisor it was for a daytime schedule, which wasn't exactly a lie, just wasn't the whole truth either. I think about Walter sometimes, about whatever conversations he was having, all those years, with someone the rest of us couldn't see. I think about that empty chair. Mostly, though, I think about what he told me that one night, that it wasn't my fault. I've never told anyone about the accident before writing this down. I still don't know what to do with the fact that somehow, somebody made sure I heard exactly what I needed to hear. I don't work nights anymore. But some part of me still wonders whether that was ever really about me leaving, or about something finally being allowed to go.